What's up, YouTube? Today I am ranking my top 10 albums of 2020. Of course, these albums came out this year. This is not like music that I listen to because I listen to a lot of old stuff. This is albums that dropped this year. And I know this video is cutting it close. This video is coming out on December 30th. And the reason that it is cutting so close to the end of the year is because I was waiting for a whole lot of red, because just in case it was very good, it would be able to get on my top 10 albums. Of course, it wasn't. It's definitely not on this video because Jesus Christ. As a precursor to this video, I do not listen to a bunch of underground stuff. I do listen to a more in-depth hip-hop scene than most people, but I don't go extremely underground. I will be giving 3 songs from each album as well, like I did for the Eminem ranking video that I did a week and a half ago. I will be giving 3 songs per album that you should go listen to if you didn't listen to the album. And let's just start with some honorable mentions. Legends Never Die by Juice WRLD, My Turn by Lil Baby, The GOAT by Polo G, King's Disease by Nas, and Top Shotta by NLE Choppa. That last one is very surprising, but that album I actually really enjoyed throughout the year. That one was very good, actually. If you didn't listen to that one, I recommend going to listen to that one. All the honorable mention ones, of course, you should go listen to. If you didn't listen to King's Disease by Nas, because most people don't listen to Nas. You have to be really into hip-hop to listen to Nas anymore. Go listen to that album because that was a very good album as well. Coming in at number 10 is Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon by Pop Smoke. Rest in peace. If the options in the spot, red dot, somebody call Batman, I'm Rob. This album was fantastic. What a posthumous album. Most albums that release based on the label putting out the artist's music that has passed is normally not very good. This can be seen in X's Discog, which is the prime example of that. What a disgrace to his name. I can't believe they're doing that. Legends Never Die, like I mentioned earlier, is a good Juice WRLD album, but that's the first one. So that's all the music that he already had prepped. So I hope with Juice WRLD they don't just start releasing all of his snippets and leaked and like half-finished songs. Same thing with Pop Smoke. I hope they don't end up doing that. One album's okay if they were working on it, because I know Juice WRLD and Pop Smoke were both working on albums. So most of these songs were finished and they're actual Pop Smoke songs. I did not listen to the deluxe, admittedly. I listened to a bit of it, but I just didn't vibe with it. I vibed with the original drop. This album is a perfect example of a deluxe, I don't know, ruining not ruining, but like going, it's just like it's not good on the full album release. You should have just kept it the full album, because the first drop of the album was insane. I loved it when it came out. For the 3 songs I recommend you listen to off this album, I'm going to go with West Coast Shit, which is my favorite song off this album. This song is an absolute banger. Got It On Me. Of course, the 50 Cent Many Men flip. Oh my God, what a song. And For the Night, this song is insane. I love this song. So let's continue the list. Coming in at number 9 is Detroit 2 by Big Sean. I'm in the mirror looking at a work of art. Hard work don't mean shit if it ain't smart. This album is one of, if not Big Sean's best works. I like Big Sean, but I do not completely mess with him. Like, I'm not going to listen to everything he drops, but god damn, this album I had on repeat for like a week or two, and that is very rare for me to put on an album that long. Most of these albums on this list actually did get repeated that much, because this album was, this year I listened to a lot of albums, surprisingly, instead of playlists. Sean on this album was absolutely in his bag. He rapped probably the most confident and hungry that I've ever heard him. This album was actually very impressive. I loved this album. So for the 3 songs I recommend you listening to, one is Wolves with Post Malone. That song is just a banger. It's just an amazing song. Harder Than My Demons is a more low-key song that people don't listen to, but this song is one of my favorite tracks of the entire year, and it's always on repeat at the gym. That is an absolute banger. Finally, Friday Night Cypher. This song is impressive. I can't believe Big Sean pulled that off. I can't believe they were able to do it. That is very impressive. Coming in at number 8 is Burden of Proof by Benny the Butcher.
Fuck with them hoes, I know she hated that. But you gon' cry in that Toyota or this Maybach.
This is one of the albums that most mainstream hip-hop listeners did not listen to. But this album is insane, man. I love this album. Benny the Butcher is something else, man. Griselda is something else. It's exactly what you want from gangsta rap, man. This is just the perfect gangsta rap album, and it's just so good. It's such a great listen, man. If you haven't listened to it, you have to. In terms of the 3 songs I recommend you listen to, the self-titled track, Burden of Proof, One Way Flight featuring Freddie Gibbs. God, Freddie Gibbs, bro. Oh man, that man is impressive. And War Paint with the rest of Griselda. That song is amazing too. If you haven't listened to this album, this is one album on this list that you have to listen to. This album is so good. Speaking of Freddie Gibbs, coming in at number 7 is ALFREDO.
Yeah, ain't nobody ever gave me shit. I had to take this shit, go get your paper, bitch. Grab it.
This is another album that most hip-hop listeners probably didn't listen to, mainstream hip-hop listeners. Hip-hop lovers listen to this album for sure. But I think it got more recognition now that it was nominated for a Grammy, which it should have been. This album is amazing. I have it at number 7 purely because I ranked this off of my favorite albums of the year and the ones that I went back to and had on repeat. ALFREDO I had less on repeat than the ones above this, but I think ALFREDO is easily a top 10 hip-hop album of this entire year in terms of quality. Everything about this album is incredible. Freddie Gibbs rapping, of course The Alchemist did all the beats, and The Alchemist is a top 5 producer of all time, if not even higher than that. And it's just, this album is, you need to listen to it. You can listen to this album the entire way through, and as soon as you listen to it, you're like, damn, what an album. What an absolute piece of work. Masterpiece, man. So for the 3 tracks I recommend for this album, Scotty Beam or 1985 is my 3. Let's just go with Scotty Beam, Babies and Fools, and Baby Shit. Every song off this album is amazing. This album is easily a 10, but those 3 are just my favorite. So if you haven't listened to this album, you need to. Coming in at number 6 is High Off Life by Future. This is probably my favorite work from Future. This album was so good, man. That's why I bought the signed High Off Life vinyl, because this album is insane. This album is so good, man. It is the perfect trap album that dropped this year. It is exactly what you'd want from Future. It is exactly what you want from a trap album. It is just an amazing album. You've probably already heard it because, oh man, what an album. So in terms of the 3 songs you should listen to, Trapped in the Sun, Solitaries, what a song, man, and 100 Shooters. There are plenty of other songs I'd recommend off this album, like Up the River, Pray for a Key, Ride in Strikers, High Tech Tech, but those 3 are my favorites. You should go listen to those. Coming in at number 5 is an album that immediately jumped to my top 5 spot as soon as it dropped and as soon as I listened to it for the first time, and that is Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen by Kid Cudi. This album is the perfect continuation of the Man on the Moon trilogy. Jesus Christ, this album was way more than I expected. Way better than I expected. I knew Kid Cudi was going to nail it, but he did an amazing job bringing back the old sound, bringing in new sounds, being inspired by Travis Scott. A lot of people think that's a negative on this album, but I see it as he is evolving with the times, and that is amazing. This album is truly incredible. Like I said, it immediately jumped to top 5 as soon as I heard it. The only reason I didn't put it higher is because it dropped so soon. Eventually, I'm going to probably look back on 2020, and this is going to be way higher on the list. But for now, it's going to be here just because the other 4 albums on this list dropped way earlier in the year, and I listened to them way more, so I feel like I can't just put this one higher. That doesn't make sense to me. 3 songs that you should listen to off this album. This one is extremely hard for me to choose, but I'm going to go with She Knows This, I'm going to go with The Void, and The Pale Moonlight. You should go listen to those songs. I feel like those show the 3 stages of this album. This album was broken into 4 quadrants or 4 chapters, but I would say these 3 songs show very different moods in the album, and you should go listen to those. Oh, and the night that it came out, I ordered a vinyl for it straight out the gate. Coming in at number 4 is an album by an artist that is, in my opinion, one of the most slept on hip-hop artists of all time, and that is Denzel Curry with Unlocked.
That make albums with no outcome. Extra middleman, no Malcolm. Where's the talcum?
This album was completely done in 3 days, completely freestyled with Kenny Beats. This album is insane, man. It is probably the most hype album of the year. You could throw this on. It's 17 minutes. You throw this on, you're hyped immediately. It is a quick listen. It is just banger after banger. Limited edition vinyl right there. As soon as it dropped, I bought it. I think that was the album that started my vinyl collection because I wanted a vinyl for this, and I'm like, I'm going to start collecting more. This album was absolutely insane, man. If you haven't heard it, this is a must listen. People just don't listen to Denzel Curry for some reason. I think it's just because they see him as the ultimate guy, but that's just depressing. That is sad because he is an amazing artist. So for 3 songs I recommend you listen to, of course you should listen to all of them because it's 17 minutes long. It's a very quick listen, but I'm going to go with Pyro, absolute banger, Diet, and Cosmic. Coming in at number 3 is Heaven or Hell by Don Toliver. This is probably one of the best debut albums I've ever heard from an artist in recent times. Incredible. It's absolutely incredible. This album is, no pun intended, euphoric. You float when listening to this album, man. It's just so good. And I feel like most people have listened to this album, but if you haven't, you need to go listen. I can't wait for the rest of Don Toliver's discography over the next decade or so. He has so much potential, and he has so many ins to the music industry because he knows Travis Scott. He's already made his name very known with Can't Say off Astroworld. Man, it's just his voice, his atmosphere of his music is incredible. He's like Travis Scott, but different. I don't know how to explain it, but like he has the same atmosphere with his music, but he brings a different energy to it. And that's what I love about this album. 3 songs that I recommend off this album. Euphoria, like I mentioned, euphoric. This song is just amazing. After Party, which you've already heard because it hit TikTok. And for most people, probably ruined the song, but I heard the song before it hit TikTok, of course, because I listened to this release date, so it didn't get ruined for me. And No Photos. What a banger, man. Coming in at my second favorite album of this entire year, Music to Be Murdered By Eminem.
Just don't forget who you fucking with when stepping on hollow ground.
Like I said at the beginning of the video, I already made an Eminem ranking video. That was before Side B dropped. I released that video the week Side B dropped, unfortunately. So if you want to go see how I feel about Music to Be Murdered By, you can go watch that video. But For this video, I'm not going to talk about the actual Music to Be Murdered By, the original. I'm just going to talk about the deluxe because they both came out this year, but I already discussed the original Music to Be Murdered By in a previous video. This deluxe might beat out the original. Wow, what an impressive deluxe. I know I bitched about deluxes earlier in the video, but I think the difference is this one came out nearly a year after the original. So this is basically just a new album with the same name, right? The issue I have is when deluxes are just backfill and they just want to get more streams on their album. That's the issue I have with deluxes. This one is literally just a different album with the same name, because it released 11 months later. This deluxe, like I said, might beat out the original for me. This deluxe, I feel like, doesn't have the same highs. It doesn't go as high as the original, but it doesn't have the same lows either. This deluxe moved this album from 3 because I had Heaven or Hell above this for the entire year. The deluxe dropped. This moved it to 2 because the deluxe was that impressive. So for the 3 songs, like I said, I'm not going to give you 3 songs from the original because if you want to get 3 songs, you can go listen or watch the other Eminem video. But for the 3 songs off of Side B, I'm going to go with Alfred's Theme. One of the craziest Eminem songs I've ever listened to. The beat is literally a circus beat. It doesn't make sense that Eminem can rap on it. He goes absolutely in on this song. He switches his flow so many times. There's so many punchlines. That song is incredible. Guns Blazing, probably my favorite song off the album. Dr. Dre goes hard. Sly Piper goes hard. Eminem goes hard. The beat's hard. The hook's hard. That song is just amazing. And finally, I'm going to go with She Loves Me. I love this song. I also really enjoy Higher and Killer. But those 3 I'll just say for this. And coming in at number 1, if you couldn't already guess it, it's After Hours. After Hours is a cultural phenomenon of this year. You're going to look back on 2020 and remember it as After Hours. You're going to remember it as The Weeknd's year, and he still got snubbed for a Grammy. It doesn't make sense to me. I even dressed up as the After Hours character for Halloween, bro. That's how much I love this entire atmosphere of the album, what it stands for. Oh my god, this album was an absolute masterpiece. I already did a Weeknd album ranking video. However, I did not give 3 songs that I recommend off this album. So, we're going to do that now. 3 songs off this album. I'm going to go with Alone Again because that is just one of the best intro tracks of any Weeknd album. It really shows what this album's about. I'm going to go with Faith. And let's go with After Hours. I'm not going to say Blinding Lights. Of course, Blinding Lights is one of the best songs of this year, but you've heard it. So I'm not going to tell you to go listen to it if you haven't listened to After Hours. If you haven't listened to After Hours, then you're actually living under a rock, and you need to go listen to it. Even if you're not into R&B, The Weeknd's considered pop now, but he doesn't make pop music. It's R&B. It's more hip-hop. You have to go listen to it, even if you don't listen to that music, because this album is truly a masterpiece. And I ranked this number 1 on The Weeknd's discography, and I stand by that. The only one that even comes relatively close is House of Balloons. But anyways, we're not going to get into that. So I hope you all enjoyed this ranking video. If you did enjoy the music content, I'm coming out with music videos because I enjoy talking about music. So I have a few other music videos if you want to go check them out. Ranking Kanye West discog, Weeknd discog, Eminem discog. Be sure to go leave in the comments your top 10, top 5 albums of the year. I want to hear yours because I know my music taste is way different than others because music is subjective. So go put your top 5, top 10, top 15 in the comments. I'll read them. I'll respond. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.